91. Tzaddik Aleph Hamid Aleph. It's about 10 lines from the top. It says, talking about the measurement of the significant measurement for carrying on Shabbos. So normally if someone carries seeds out, so it would be less than a gregors. How many depends on the type of seeds, but definitely less than a gregors. And however, if someone actually takes these seeds and he specifically stores them for planting, a small amount of them, even the smallest amount, he would be chayiv because he made them significant by storing them like that. His own intention creates their value, and then they become significant. If he carries them on Shabbos, it's chayiv. However, we said anyone else that carries them is pater. It's only for this person that they became significant. Umar says, Masnisin like Reb Shimon ben Elazar doesn't fit with Reb Shimon ben Elazar. Reb Shimon ben Elazar is a student of Reb Meir, and he says the following. The Tanya was taught in the Brisa. Klalam Reb Shimon ben Elazar, there's a rule that Reb Shimon ben Elazar said, Kol she'eina kosher latzniya, anything that's not significant enough to be stored. It's too small. So, ve'in masniyin kamayu. And similar to it, you don't store. It's it itself or the like of this. V'hochshel is there. However, one person decides to save this. V'etzniyah. And he stores it. Another person comes and takes it and carries it on Shabbos from a private to public domain or the opposite. So this person becomes chayiv because of the other person that stored it. So in other words, if something has sentimental value to one person, so when he carries it, he's chayiv. What about if someone else carries this person, carries this object that this person attributed value to? So that's a machlaikas. Our Mishnah says the other person is pater because he doesn't have the value. And Reb Shimon ben Elazar holds that no, the value, the sentimental value is significant enough that even if someone else carries it, that person will be chayiv. In other words, the value goes onto the object. A person can create the value in the object that someone else carrying it can be chayiv. That's the opinion of Reb Shimon ben Elazar.
So does this opinion disagree with the first part of the Mishnah?
With the second part. This opinion would say, every other person needs a real measurement. Reb Shimon ben Elazar would hold that's not so. Because since the first person stored it, everyone else in the world will be chayiv for this item. Yeah.
Do we find that he argues as zakin la'adam shel b'fanav and chavin la'adam shel b'fanav? How could another person give a chayva to another person? You can only give a schus, not a chayva.
Right. I hear what you're saying. My thought is on that. I hear what you're saying. My thought is that it's not to the person, it's to the object. And then the other person comes along and then carries the object. I guess that's the pshat. I'm not sure. I hear what you're saying. It's all because of one person's machshava that the other guy is chayiv. Right? That's what Chaim's asking. One guy thinks that it's valuable when it's really not, and some other guy carries it as chayiv. So yeah, I guess you have
chayiv is chayiv chatos.
Yeah, it's chayiv for carrying. Could be worse. Could be worse than the chatos. Depends if it's b'shegi. So
sounds very strange. Maybe he disagrees with that opinion.
I don't think so though, but I think that we would have to answer this, that a person can give value to an item. That's what we're seeing here. That if to you this is valuable, then it becomes a davar chashuv. Like $1 from the Rebbe, to some guy in the store, cashier, it's $1. But to you, it's not $1. To you, this is it's not $1,000. Very good. So, but you were machshavit, so therefore this gets that significance for other people as well, I guess. Okay, I hear the question now. Amar Rava. Rava says the following. Amar Rava, Amar Rav Nachman. Says in the name of Rav Nachman. Okay, we have some interesting discussions here. Just going to go through a little bit of a breaking down what exactly is this the shiurim and how it's defined, and in the malacha of Shabbos. There's a problem with carrying on Shabbos, because normally a malacha has one action. And you can do it many times, but it's one action. When it comes to carrying, there's more than one action. There's 2 or 3 actions. There's lifting it up and transferring location and then putting it down. And the machshava, the thought that you have of, you see, what we're learning in our Mishnah is that the significance of the item is based on your thoughts. So if there was one action, so your thoughts would be for whatever the action is. But here there's several actions. And so if the thought changes in the action, how does that work? Let's see, it goes like this. Haitzik egregers. Someone carries the size of a gregers. Gregers is a dried fig, which is the shear for carrying food on Shabbos. La'achila. He's going to eat it. He's carrying it out, he's going to eat it. But when he gets outside, he decides, I'll put it in the ground. It's an empty area over here. I'm going to plant this. So the shear shrunk. The object is still there, but the shear for chiyuv shrunk. Inami, let's say the other way. Lizriya, he carried it out because he wanted to plant it outside. He gets outside, he says, this looks delicious. And he decides he's going to eat it. This is before he puts it down. So the first machshava was by the akira. The second machshava is by the hanacha. So both of them is chayiv. That's what Rabbi says in the name of Rav Nachman. Umar says, Shita, one second, how much did he carry? He carried a gregers, a dried fig. A dried fig is the shear that satisfies the requirement for carrying for food and for carrying for planting. Zilhache kashira, zilhache kashira. Automatically you have a shear, you have large enough for either way. Umar says, no, it's still a chiddush here. Could have thought that I need to lift it up and put it down with the same thought. See, I need to have the action of transferring from one location to another on Shabbos with one intention. And here you divided it up. So maybe the akira doesn't connect to the hanacha. Akira is the uprooting, hanacha is placing down. Maybe it's interrupted because of your change in thought. Mashmala, and that no. It doesn't get interrupted just by the change of thought because you had the right size. Either way, the size, the size was satisfied. You had a gregris, which is a dried fig. Okay. Boy Rava. So now Rava has a question. Hoitzi chatzi gregris l'zriya. Let's say someone carries less than a gregris, a half a gregris. Now this could be enough for planting. The Mishnah said pachas making gregris was 2 seeds or 5 seeds or whatever. There's different measurements. Whatever it is, it's less than a gregris. So he has a satisfactory amount. Satisfactory in the negative sense. He's satisfying the measurement to be chayiv. because his intention is to plant. B'tiftach, it gets outside because of the moisture, whatever. It was raining, and it swelled. The size increased. Nimlach la'achila. Now he decides that he's going to eat it. Sounds like the shiurim are based on volume, not on weight. It's a big machlekes. But from this Gemara, it sounds like it's based on volume. I mean, just the simple reading of it. I think that's the way we go. That's the way I think the Ashkenazim go, that it's based on volume. Try to imagine that it would fit into a, water displacement. That's the size of it. So what happened here is he has the satisfactory shear for planting, but then he changed his mind. He decides he's going to eat it. But that's not a problem either, because at that point, he has a satisfactory shear for eating as well, which is larger. Why? Because it swelled when he got outside. So mahu, what's it? Two ways of looking at this. Imtim telaymar, if you're able to say, hasam hu de mechayev. Over there, in the case before you were chayev, where you had a shear for both planting and eating because it was a gregris. Zilhacha ikashura, zilhacha ikashura. Over there, you had a shear for both. Hacha, but over here, even the beidna da'afka, they have a bishir achila. When you took it out, you had a shear for planting because that was your thought that you were going to plant it. But in the end, he had a thought for eating, which means that is this a carrying for eating? You're lacking in your shear when you did an akira. I know at the akira that's not what you were thinking, but I need an akira here and I need a hanacha. And at the time of the hanacha, when I had intention to plant it, to eat it, then if I look back at my akira, I didn't have a shear. From the hanacha's perspective, akira didn't have a shear. Oidelmar maybe, look, what's the problem over here? He changed his mind. The whole problem over here is he decided to eat it. Ignore that change of mind. The fact is he had a shear at the beginning. Ignore the change of mind. Mechayev amachshava dezriya v'lei chashav. Dilu ishtik v'lei chashav. Let's say he doesn't change his mind. Just silence his thoughts. Mechayev amachshava dezriya sahashtanami mechayev. Just leave it at the original thought. Don't adjust his initial intention, and he's chayev. Because why? Because he has a half a gregors, which is enough for planting. And that's what his intention was originally. So we're introducing a concept here of kilu the ilu ishtik v'lechashav. Let's just leave it at its original thought and don't mess with things. Leave it at its original thought. Where do we see this concept that you can leave something at its original thought? What we had at the top of the page, we learned yesterday, that we said, why do we say someone that stores an item? Just say someone that carries out an item. Why are you telling me stores an item? You want to tell me his biography? No, we said, it was Abaya, I think. Abaya says, it's telling me two halachas. One halacha is, yes, if someone carries with a certain intention, that can create a significance. But it's saying even more than that. Even if someone didn't carry for that intention, but he stored it for that intention, and then he doesn't think about anything. He carries it outside without any thoughts. Amachshava kamaisa, we go after his original thought. We follow the original thought. So maybe over here as well, let's just follow the original thought, which was for Zriya, planting, and he has a shear. So now the Gemara continues. Some of the poskim say, by the way, that the Gemara here works like a flowchart. You have two options, and then you say, if you pick this option, then we have another one. So some say that the imtim telaymar, if you pick this option, that's really the Gemara Paskin. Some of the places learn like that. Imtim telaymar, if you say kivin delo yishtek lechashav lamachayev amachshava dezriya hashtanam machayev, let's take that approach. That you would be chayiv in such a case. You started off with less than a shear for achila, but don't worry about that because you had the opposite. Worry about that because you had a thought for Zriya. And so therefore you actually had a shear, So you did have a shear. And then you switched your mind in the middle. So what happens like this? The next case. Let's say someone takes out a full gregers, a dried fig. Why? And his intention is to eat. It's a shear. He's going to eat it in the garden. Not in the garden. In the Rosh Hashanah. Garden is halfway. He's in Rosh Hashanah. He's going out. He's going to eat it in Rosh Hashanah. So he has a full shear. But some on its way out, it shriveled up. Exactly how that happened, but it shriveled up. And he changed his mind. I'm not going to eat this. Look at it, shrunk. I'll just plant it. And then he does the hanacha. So he had an akira with the shear, and he had a hanacha with the shear. Only problem is that he only has a shear by the hanacha, the significant size, because he changed his thought. We just said before that there's a possibility that you always look at the first thought. So, what's the din over here? Hacha vadai over here, definitely ki ishtik. If he would not change his thought, can't be chayiv for the first thought because first thought was for eating. Now he doesn't have a full shear. Maybe we look at it as it is now, and now he has a shear. Why? Because now he has a shear because he's planting it. And that's enough of a shear for planting. And you look back, there was a shear over there as well. It was a gregors. It used to be a gregors, but definitely a shear. So maybe I look at it now. Maybe I look at the thoughts that were before. Let's say we follow the thoughts that they are now, mechayev, and therefore is chayev in this case. What happens the following? We're getting very nitty-gritty over here. You started off with the shear of a gregris, and you were planning on eating it, so that's a correct shear. However, when you went outside, it shriveled up. And then you walked a little further before you put it down, and it swelled back to its original size. Only way I can imagine this is with elevation, and when you go up your potato chips bag, you go up to tzvas, fine. You go up to tzvas. So the bags swell, because of there's less pressure from the outside. Maybe that's what's going on, or it's with liquid humidity or whatever it is. So here he steps outside, and it shrunk, and then before he puts it down, it swells again back to its original size. So in the middle, it loses its shear. Mahu, what's the din? Yesh dichelin in Shabbos, yein dichelin in Shabbos. Do you say the concept of dicha? Dicha is a borrowed concept from Karbonis. What happens is, it's a big sugya, but simply put, Korban Pesach needs to be a zachar, a male animal. A Korban Pesach that wasn't slaughtered on Erev Pesach, if you leave it over, you can slaughter it as a shlamim. Now, a shlamim doesn't need to be male. It could be male or female. Let's say someone designates the wrong animal for his Korban Pesach. He designates a female animal. So we could think maybe after Pesach, I'll shecht it as a shlamim because that's what happens to a korban Pesach. That's not shechted, you bring it as a shlamim. Gemara says no, because it lost its validity as a korban Pesach when you designated it. So it's this dichay. Dichay means it's like pushed aside. Because it became invalid at one moment, it never comes back. So do we say Linyan Shabbos as well that there's a concept of dichay? That because there was a moment over here where this was not the malacha, do we say that it comes back? That's the Gemara Shaila. Well, it doesn't answer. Take it. Leaves that as a question. Is there the concept of dichay by Shabbos? It loses its size. Very interesting. Okay. Boimini Rava mir Rav Nachman. Rava has another question from Rav Nachman. Zarak kazayas truma labayas tamei mahu. Okay. When it comes to food becoming tamei, the shear is the size of an egg. Now, there's machlekes Rashi and Tosfos. If the shear, the size of an egg, means that the food only becomes tamei if it's the size of an egg, or it doesn't mean that the food will only transfer tumah when it's the size of an egg. You know, it becomes tamei, but for something else to become tamei, it needed to be a big enough size. Whatever the case is, it's not going to affect our discussion if it's only for itself or if it's to give it over. But with the shear is for tumah, we're discussing that it needs to be the size of an egg. A kazayas is less than the size of an egg. So truma is, if it becomes tamei, it becomes forbidden to eat. Other food that's tamei, you can eat it. It makes the person tamei that he needs to use the mikveh to eat again, to eat truma. But if he eats a certain amount. But it's only truma that has a significance on the food itself that it becomes forbidden. You can't eat truma that's forbidden. That's tamei. So someone takes a kazayas of truma. He's outside the house and he throws it into the house. The house happens to be tamei. Maybe there's a corpse in the house. Maybe there's tzaras in the house. So mahu, what's the din now? The Gemara asks Lamai, what's the shaila? It's a complicated question, but what's the point? So Eily in Shabbos, are you talking about Shabbos? Because he was outside the house and he throws it in. So kegregor spina, it needs to be the size of a fig. It's larger than both of them. It's not a fig. It was only a kazayas. Ilelin tuma. And if you're discussing if this food becomes tamei, so kabetza oichlin bina. Food needs to be the size of an egg. It's mashma that really the food itself. There's a mashma say that for the food itself to become tamei, it needs to be the size of an egg. So whatever the case is, the Gemara says lo ilam linyan shayla. The Gemara is asking, what's Rabbi's shayla? You don't have a shear, not for this and not for that. So what's the question? The Gemara says lo ilam linyan Shabbos. No, the question is regarding Shabbos. However, we have to add a detail to the case to make it relevant. In the house, cooking over there, I don't know, Shabbos, there's already some kugel over there, and there's less than a kabeya, less than the size of an egg. This guy takes his kugel outside the house, lakshan kugel, I don't know, he throws it into the house, and it hits the other piece of kugel that's in there, and they join together. Now there's the size of an egg. So, what's the thing? Midim itzdaref linyan tuma. Now you have a shear inside the house that it could become tamei. So mechayev nami linyan Shabbos. Look, it's significant. Remember, we mentioned things that are significant, things that are need to be put in shemas, things that were forbidden. That's what the Zohar mentioned, things that are significant. Look, this throwing becomes significant because it creates an isser of truma that's tameh. So that significance, does that give a significance to Shabbos as well? Dilma, calling Shabbos Kegreguspin. He says, what are you making me crazy? Shabbos has a certain measurement. It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with your other, books, Shulchan Aruch books. I looked in Hilchas Shabbos, it needs to be a Gregors. Telling me from Hilchas, from the Rambam and Hilchas Tumah, Truma Tameya, that's not the loss of Shabbos. Reb Nachman responds, Amalei Tanisua. It was taught in a brisa. Abishal says, responding to this question, does the significance of Truma that's Tameh create a significance for Shabbos? So Abishal says, Shtei Alechem, those are the 2 loaves of bread that are offered on Shavuos. First wheat offering of the year. Lechem upon him, and the bread that's showbread, which is every Shabbos. Shiuran kegregos. The size of carrying them on Shabbos, if someone carries them outside the Beis Hamikdash into Rosh Hashanah, it's the size of a gregos, like regular food. So, Va'amai, the Gemara asks, or Rab Nachman probably, Lema midel inyan yaitse, the kazayas. No, food is not allowed to, sanctified food, sacrifice, food is not, certain ones are not supposed to leave the courtyard. If you take it out of the courtyard of the designated area, it becomes pasul. When it comes regarding pas, this prohibition of the sacrifice, that's bekazayas. So we should say that since regarding the psul yaitse, if a sacrifice leaves its area, then it's only an olive size. Linyan Shabbos nami bekazayas. Then regarding Shabbos, it should also be a kazayas. According to the Rabbi's question, you're saying that since regarding truma tameya, it's the size of an egg, which is the size of an egg. Here you created the size of an egg, and if it's considered that it is chalois, something happens over here, that it becomes tamei. So therefore for Shabbos as well. So we should change the shear of carrying on Shabbos for shtei alechem and lechem upon him, because we have another halacha that's relevant to it, which is the size of a kazayas. And when you carry out, it's becoming pasul at the size of a kazayas. That should be significant for Shabbos. Where it says, 1 second, hachi hashta, whoa. You're making a comparison here, but it's not precise. Hasam, over there, the shtei alechem and lechem upon him. Mida afki chutz lechem asazara ifsali b'yotze. Shabbos le'mechayev adamapik le'lershus rabin. There's the courtyard of the Beis Hamikdash, where it's not allowed to leave the courtyard. And if it leaves the courtyard, then it becomes pasul. But it still is not a public domain. Public domain is further out. It goes like this. He says, granted that at stage 1, as it's leaving, it becomes pasul. But that's not the location where the prohibition of Shabbos takes place. Prohibition of Shabbos takes place later. So therefore, I'm not going to say that something that happened previously to this is going to continue on to when the prohibition of Shabbos takes place. That was earlier. Prohibition of Shabbos is the size of a gregors. Hacha Shabbos v'tumah b'hadi adodikas. And over here, when this piece of kugel hits the piece of kugel inside, that's its landing. So the combination of the size of this food, as it combines for the laws of Tumah, that's when the prohibition of Shabbos is taking place. So then maybe we could say that it's the same, it should be the same shear. It's significant. It's a smaller shear. Okay, that's Rabbi's question. Chaza, it's the whole story. Bunch of questions. The Gemara says, if someone brings it back in, it's slightly easier. Someone brings it back in, he didn't plant it. Okay, he changed his mind, he's not planting it. He's bringing it back in and he's gonna just leave it for food, whatever. So then it needs to be a shear already. he changed what the usage, what the significance of this, and therefore the shear changes. Where it says pshita, that's obvious. Rabbi tells us it again. There's a chiddush here as well. And what are we dealing with? Talking about is like psychology. He didn't put it back in his little Ziploc bag where he keeps the seeds that he's going to plant. He didn't put it there. He put it back into the bucket where he keeps his food, whatever, the Eitzer, storage area. However, when he puts it back in there, he didn't mix it in. Put it back in a specific location in there. So I think maybe he's still reserving this for planting. Maybe because he didn't mix it in really. He put it into this storage bin that's used for food, but which is regular storage, back to the Gregor size. However, he didn't mix it in. So b'milsa kamai sakai, maybe we can say that he still has its original significance in it. Maybe he's holding on to it. Kamash Malan comes to tell us me the zarka leitzer betuli batle. The fact that you put it back into there, it's done. It's back to its original. There's no more significance to that. Put it into the my example with the Rebbe dollar. Keep it, of course, separate. You don't keep it in your with the bills in your wallet. So maybe he put it in his wallet in the other compartment and the thing. Maybe it's still separated. Okay, we have a new Mishnah now. Someone that carries food from inside the house to outside the house. However, he puts it down on the doorstep, like a porch, sort of. The Gemara is going to discuss the size and the elevation of this, what type of rishus it is. Whether he pulls it back into the house. I'm sorry. Whether he returns and takes it further out of the house into the street. Or whether someone else comes and pulls it out of the house is pater. Because he didn't do the malacha in one going. You need an akira and a hanacha. Akira, uprooting it in one location, one domain, putting it down in another domain. Here you stopped in the middle, it broke up the malacha. Kupa shimalaya peris. Let's say there's a box, a fruit box. Benasna la skufa. Put it on the door, on the threshold. Achitzaina. The outer threshold. Afal pishrayv peris mi bachutz. Even though most of the fruits are outside, he was inside the house. Chaim is thinking about the fruit, the delivering the food, putting the box from the outside. Here, it's someone inside that's taking the box. He's putting it outside. Pater is exempt until he takes the whole box outside. It still has strings attached. It still has part of it is inside the house. It's not considered outside the house. The Gemara asks, what is this threshold? What's the location? If you say it's a Rosh Hashanah, Rashi says over here that for it to be a Rosh Hashanah, it would need to be 9 Tvachim high. 10 Tvachim would be a different issue. 9 Tvachim high and 4 Tvachim wide. Why is that a Rosh Hashanah? 9 Tvachim high is about this high. 4 Tvachim wide. It's like a post. Maybe, sometimes on street corners they have, for decoration, they have these round balls, so they put them there. Could be for decoration, could be so cars don't. But, so such a type of thing, let's say it's 9 Tvachim tall and it's 4 Tvachim wide. People use it to adjust their packages. They lean on it, they sit on it, they put things down as they're adjusting. So it's used by the Rosh Hashanah. It's an area that the Rosh Hashanah uses. So if you say that this threshold that you have outside the house is such a type of threshold. It's Rishus Rabim. Pater. Hakamapik Rishus Yachid Rishus Rabim. He put it down in a public area. He said you took it out of the house and you put it on the threshold, on the porch. That porch is Rishus Rabim. You should be chayiv. Alaska for Rishus Yachid. No. We're talking about a threshold that's really Rishus Yachid. Rishus Yachid is if it's 10 tvachim high. Ten tvachim high, really in Rishus Rabim itself, 10 tvachim would be a makom p'tur, be an exempt area. But maybe it means because it's attached to the house, it's considered Rishus Yachid. I'm not sure. Gemara is asking if it's Rishus Yachid, so. The Mishnah continued and said, if someone else comes and takes it outside, so he's pater because the malacha was broken in half, or even if he takes it outside, he's pater because the malacha was broken in half. 1 second. It wasn't broken in half. This is a brand new malacha. That was Rishus Yachid, and you're carrying it off to Rishus Yachid into Rishus Rabim. Mary answers, Alas Kufa Carmelis. Talking about that the threshold is a Carmelis. Carmelis is like this middle zone. It's not a Rishus Yachid, it's not a Rishus Rabim. And we said it's, Rashi says it's 3 tvachim to 9 tvachim. Until 9 tvachim, not 9 tvachim itself. From 3 to 9. V'hakamash Malon is coming to teach us. Time of the Nach beCarmelis. It's only if you put it down in the Carmelis, that's where you're going to be exempt. But if you would just walk right through it, then you would be chayiv. Masnisint like Ben Azai. Mishnah doesn't go like Ben Azai. Why? Tanya was taught in the Brisa. Someone takes from his store to the plaza. The store is like a little booth he has where he keeps his things that he's selling. He locks it up. So he takes from his store, and then he takes it into the plaza, which is the general area where everyone is walking. But he walks through the derech stav. Stav are the stalls, the columns are where people maybe are sitting or storekeepers are, but it's not for the public. It's not really a Rishus Rabim. So Benazai holds, the Tanakama holds chayiv, Benazai paiter. Benazai says that he's exempt, because he didn't go directly from Rishus Yachid to Rishus Rabim. He walked through an area that was an exempt area. He didn't take from Rishus Yachid to Rishus Rabim. He went through Rishus Yachid, Carmelis, Rishus Rabim. That would make him exempt. So what's the point of our Mishnah is to tell me not like Ben Azai. Our Mishnah says that if you carry through the askufa, you would be chayiv. It's only if you put it down on the askufa, that's when you'll be exempt. Could be, we had this in the beginning of the Masechta, could be Ben Azai held, I think that Mahalech Ka'imed, that walking is like stopping. I think that's the way we learned it. So because he walked through, it was as if he stopped there, and it's as if it stopped at that. Okay, Kupashi Malaya, a box that's full of produce. Amar Chizkiah. We said that you have to pull it totally out to be chayiv on Shabbos. If it's still partially in the house, or partially on the askufa, if it's partially on the askufa, then you'll be exempt. It's still attached into the house. So Amar Chizkiah says, Leishana l'bekupa, Malaya kishun v'deluin. Abel Malaya chardal, then it's chayiv. Chizkiah says, it's only because this box has these long cucumbers in it. I forget what the English cucumbers are. Cucumbers are gourds, very large. You can get this long squash. So those are still in the house. The tips of them, the end of them, is still in the house. So it's not the box that's keeping them inside, the basket. It's It's not the basket that's keeping it inside. It's the thing itself. Half of it is inside. The end of it is inside. But let's say it would be full with mustard seeds. Moshe, you ever grew mustard? No. The small seeds, I guess. I don't know. But if it's filled with mustard, so then, even though half the box is inside, but each individual mustard seed is significant, and those I carried out. So what Chizkiah is telling us, he's an early Amira in Eretz Yisrael. He's telling us that Alma Kasavar Eged Keli Leishmei Eged, wrapping something in a basket, it doesn't consider it into one item, that it's all one thing like that. No, it's only considered partially inside if the items in the basket are partially inside. The basket doesn't combine them. Rabbi Yochanan says, it's potter. Even if it's filled with mustard seed, it's potter. Yesterday we mentioned about someone has to go somewhere, so he puts everything in a bag. He carries it like that. That's lessening the malacha. That would be Rabbi Yochanan's sheet. Why? Eged Keli. The bag combines it all to be one carrying. Alma Kasava, he said, Rabbi Yochanan says, even if it's mustard, he's exempt because part of it is still in the house. Alma Kasava, Eged Keli Shmei Eged. Rabbi Yochanan must hold that the bag combines it. Eged means combined. That's the bus company. I'm not sure what they're referring to. I guess everyone goes in the bus. Amar Reb Zera. Reb Zera says, our Mishnah doesn't fit with Chizkiah. I'm sorry, I have to read one more word. Masnisin like Chizkiah dayaka. Our Mishnah is not precise like Chizkiah, but like Rabbi Yochanan dayaka, and it's also not precise like Rabbi Yochanan. Chizkiah like dayaka, it's not precise like Chizkiah. Why? Diktani achiyetzis kolakupa. The Mishnah said that if you put the basket down on the askufa, even though most of the produce is outside, he's potter, until he takes the entire basket out. Entire basket. Time of the kolakupa. The reason why he's potter is because he didn't take out the whole basket. Hakala Paris. Let's say he took out, he didn't take out the whole basket, but he took out all the fruits. He's still potter. It's a problem. According to Chizkiah, if you took out the fruits, even though the basket is nothing. Basket's a plastic bag. It has no significance here. According to Chizkiah, you should be chayiv once the fruits are out. Forget about the bag, the other part of the basket. That has nothing to do with this. The Mishnah didn't say that. Alma kasavar eged keli shmei eged. From the Mishnah, it's clear that you have to take out the whole basket. That means that the basket is significant. Not just the fruits. Not like Chizkiah says. The diak here is on kol akupa. Why do you need the whole kupa according to Chizkiah? Just the fruits itself would make him chayim. Rabbi Yochanan leideyaka. Let's take a look at Rabbi Yochanan. It doesn't fit with Rabbi Yochanan either. Rabbi Yochanan held that the basket combines them all. Tiktani, because it was taught, afal pishu reif peres bachot. Even though most of the peres are outside, he's still exempt. That's what it says. Until the whole basket is outside. Time of the reif peres. Why is he exempt? Because even though most of the fruits are outside. Hakala peres. Why do you say most? Most of the fruits. Even if all the fruits would be outside, you'd still be exempt, according to Rabbi Yochanan, because the basket wasn't outside. Even if all the fruits in the basket are outside, you'd still be exempt. The wording kala, raiva peres, doesn't fit with Rabbi Yochanan. It says, afal pisha kala peres, I still exempt. Afal gav hakala peres, afal gav dagida kupa mikavoy, it's chayiv. From the Mishnah, it sounds like you should be chayiv. Even though agida means it's bound, the basket is bound mikavoy from inside. So the basket is binding it to the inside because part of the basket is still inside. You should be chayiv according to the Mishnah. Alma kasaver eged keli leishmei eged. From the Mishnah, it's clear that that the basket doesn't combine it because you needed part of the fruits to be inside to be pater. The Gemara says, Velakasha. One second. It's a huge problem here. You have a diuk that doesn't go like Chizkiah, and you have a diuk that doesn't go like Rabbi Yochanan, which means that you have what's called diukim seisrim. You have contradictory diukim implications. What's implied from one part of the Mishnah contradicts what's implied from another part of the Mishnah. The two parts of the Mishnah we're talking about is that you need to take out the whole basket. That means that taking out the fruits itself is not enough. And then the other diuk was, if you took out most of the fruits, you're still pater. Sounds like if you took out all the fruits, even without the basket, you'd be chayiv. Those two implications are contradictory. So the Gemara explains that Chizkiah will read the Mishnah his way, and Rabbi Yochanan will read the Mishnah his way, and they'll keep the Mishnah according to their own opinions. Chizkiah mitarz l'tamei, Rabbi Yochanan mitarz l'tamei. We're going to read the Mishnah. We'll say how to get rid of these implications so that it shouldn't contradict Chizkiah's opinion and it shouldn't contradict Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. So Chizkiah reads it like this. Again, Chizkiah was the one that held that it's only because these vegetables are so long that you're exempt. If there would have been mustard seeds, you'd be chayiv, because he holds that the basket is insignificant here. So he reads it like this. Chizkiah reads it, until you take out the whole basket. Didn't have to say the whole basket, right? Could have said just until you take out all the fruits. You would explain it that what is it talking about? That's only talking about when the fruits are very long. But if it's filled with mustard seeds, so Adshi Yoitzias Kalakupa is coming to explain, let's say it would have been mustard seeds, then that would be as if you took out the whole basket. The mustard seeds themselves would be as if. In other words, Adshi Yoitzias Kalakupa is a description of if it would be mustard seeds, it would be the full basket. Because there are the individual items in there that are totally removed from the Shasayach. Rabbi Yochanan would read it different. Rabbi Yochanan's issue was roiv. Why do you say, even if you took out roiv, most, it's much more than that. Even if you took them all out, you're still pater. So he reads it like this. Afal pisha roiv peiros bachutz, even though most of the fruits are outside, but not only if most of them are outside, even if all of them are outside, pater achiyetzis kolakupa. He adds in some words. He says, you see, roiv peiros mebachutz, pater achiyetzis kolakupa. He adds in the words, not only roiv peiros, even kala peiros. You need the whole basket. That's the way he reads it. Okay. Where's the question? Meisvei. Question goes like this. If someone carries out a basket that a peddler uses, puts it on the outer threshold. See, I think these baskets were usually like little compartments or something. Had some buttons, some head pieces, a little bit of makeup or something. So even though most of the items are outside, pater achiyetzis kolakupa. He's exempt until he takes out the whole basket. It's mamish a clear raya to Rabbi Yochanan. Kasal kadaitach b'tzrari. We think that we're dealing with small herbs that are bound up, little small packages. Tzrari is like bound, little pieces of besamim. They're ground up properly, and they're bound in little compartments. Kasha l'Chizkiah. According to Chizkiah, you'd be chayiv on each piece. Each piece should be chayiv. Chizkiah says, no, we're dealing with these long spices, like the cinnamon sticks or whatever they sell. These long branches. So that's what it's dealing with. You think, we said, Afapisha, Roiv minim b'chutz is probably, I guess it means roiv of the minim. Roiv of them are, roiv of it is outside. It doesn't fit perfectly. Anyway, he has to switch it that he's dealing with long things, like he did to the Mishnah that he's dealing with long cucumbers. Masav Rav Bibi Barabaya. Bibi Barabaya asked the question. This is an interesting question. Let me leave it over here, as this question takes me to the Mishnah.